Hello, today I'm going over Canopy Soil Ecosystem Lecture. So this is an unusual one. This is something that a lot of people don't know about, is that when we talk about trees, especially the largest trees, and we talk about the canopy, which is the higher layer of the trees, well, we can find soil up in those branches. So that's what we're going to talk about. Canopy soils form high above the ground in the branches and crotches of large old trees. So we see this is a big branch here and there's stuff on top of it. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then the crotch is where the branch meets the trunk. So you get this space where stuff can accumulate. Over time, fallen leaves, needles, bark, and other organic material accumulate where branches meet or in natural hollows, like the top of this very large branch here. Stuff is falling on there and it's starting to slowly accumulate. Moisture from rain, mist, and fog helps these materials decompose slowly, creating a layer of soil-like matter. So when we talk about soil on the ground, remember, originally it would have just been rock. And then soil builds up over time as things like lichen, pioneer species die, and their decomposed parts start to make a fine layer of dust, which then builds into soil, which adds other things. So that can happen also up in the canopies of these trees. This process can take decades or centuries, especially in massive trees like redwoods or Douglas firs. The soil can grow quite thick, sometimes reaching several feet in depth in very old forests. They essentially create a miniature version of the forest floor suspended in the canopy. So here's a good example. There's a person climbing this tree here, and these big mats that have formed actually have several inches thick of soil, where you see the moss on the top, but there's other stuff under there that is living in the soil. Okay, let's continue. These canopy soils are remarkably similar to forest floor soils in many ways. They contain decomposed organic matter, microorganisms, fungi, and even nitrogen-fixing bacteria. So it's showing you just some of the stuff that we find in soil, and all of the same stuff you're going to find up in the canopy soil. So things like bacteria, things like worms that are decomposers, decomposing organic matter. You're going to find potassium, phosphate, nitrogen. All these things that plants need are going to be found in this canopy soil. Like ground soil, they act as a sponge, holding water and slowly releasing it to plants. So there also will be water stored in here. Roots of mosses, ferns, and sometimes even shrubs or small trees can penetrate them just as they would in the ground. So this image shows some type of a birch tree. That's what the trunk is. But then in this space where the two branches separate, you've got some type of a pine tree growing out from that. So there's a layer of soil in here. It may not even be that thick, a couple inches maybe, but that's enough to get this tree to start growing inside of the other tree, or I guess I should say on top of the other tree. Let's see. Nutrient cycling happens in the canopy too, with plants taking up minerals and then dropping leaves that return nutrients to the soil. The result is a self-sustaining soil system far above the earth. All right. The structure of canopy soils is layered with fresh organic litter on top and more decomposed material below, just like ground soil. So they've got kind of a cutout in this image here, and it's hard to make out, but it's pretty easy to find this image online. And you see the soil cut out there. And what happens is the top of this soil has all this stuff that's just died. It could be twigs, branches, leaves that are starting to break down, where all that broken down material is here on the top. It hasn't broken down completely, but then underneath is the older broken down material that's more decomposed. You have more of your decomposers living down here in this lower layer. And that's providing all the nutrients. Now it's broken down everything enough so that nutrients are available in this soil on this more bottom half. All right. The upper layer often has mosses and lichen, while deeper layers are denser and support ferns or woody plants. You'll constantly see the ferns, the mosses, and lichen on the top. That's what you usually notice. And it looks like they're kind of just growing straight onto the bark. But actually, oftentimes, there is this layer of soil before you get to the bark. Animals such as insects, spiders, and even salamanders may use canopy soils as habitat. All right, this image here is a salamander. It's called the wandering salamander. And it's a good example of a species that is found only in canopy soils. They live their whole life cycle up in the canopy of the trees in these soil mats. These soils also help trees by storing water, which can be released slowly to the branches in times of drought. In old growth forests, canopy soils greatly increase biodiversity by providing habitats not found on the ground. Overall, soil or canopy soils represent one of the most fascinating examples of how ecosystems can develop in unexpected places. All right, I hope this helps. Thank you very much. Let me know if you have questions.